Hello, this is video 3 of 11, prepared for the P3 Data Summit for 2017. I'm Matt Lavery, and in this video I want to show you how we can break this down by cohort to analyze it more carefully. So in our last video, we have the proportion of our students in each of the progress categories, but that's across all 7 years of the data that we have, which makes it a little bit more difficult to see the trends. So with pivot tables, we can actually have more than one field in each of these boxes. And so what I'm going to do is scroll back up here to the top and grab the cohort field. And I'm going to put that in my rows. Now, the first thing I did by default was I just threw it in the box and it showed up under the university. Now, what that does is it will use the university as the major grouping variable and the cohort as the minor grouping variable. So if I want to look at it that way, I certainly can, but the total row doesn't necessarily give me a very useful total since it gives me the total percent of students at each institution rather than for each year. So it doesn't help me see any trends over time. If I drag the cohort field above university, and you can see by the green line where it's going to drop it, drop the field there, now it is appropriately grouped by year, and then I see the different universities within. Now, the first thing that I noticed as I'm looking at this is that there's a lot of 0%, right? Cells that are empty, because not all of these fields apply to all of the students in this data set equally. For example, if a student enrolled in college in the 2010 cohort, then by the time we get to today, in 2017, none of the PACE categories apply to them. The only outcome categories that apply to them have to do with graduation. They've either graduated in a certain number of years or they have not graduated. So what I think I would like to do here is to just look at the two most recent cohorts. So any field that's used in a pivot table can be used to filter the data according to the values within it. So if I go here to row labels, because there are two variables in the rows right now, it gives me the opportunity to select which one I want to filter by. So I can hit this pull down and I can filter by university if I wanted to, excluding BGSU from the displayed values or excluding Toledo from the displayed values. And there might be situations in which I would want to do that. I'm interested in filtering by cohort, and since it's the outer grouping variable, it was the first one in the list, and so by default that displays. So I'm interested in the two most recent cohorts, 2015 and 16, so I'll simply uncheck the boxes for the other cohorts and click OK. Now it displays just the values that it finds in the data for the 2015 and 2016 cohorts. So almost all of the graduation data has dropped off. And the only things that remain are students who are not on PACE, who did not persist, who didn't retain, or they're on a pace to graduate in 4, 5, or 6 years. Now, interestingly, there is a cell here that has value in it. So just about 1% of the students that went to Toledo in 2015 have already graduated. And so, although they've graduated in 2 years, they get the graduated 4-year grouping because they graduated in 4 years or less. Here's another really nice feature of Excel's pivot tables that I like. If I double-click that field, now it shows me precisely the 4 students that graduated in 2 years. And I can look through this data to see if there's anything going on. that might be of interest to me. In particular, I might want to take a look at these majors to see what they graduated with in 2 years. It's possible that these might be associate level degrees, or it's possible that they came in with a lot of credits. So let's see. This student transferred in 26 credits. These students both transferred in 7. So there might be a combination of either 2-year degrees or some transfer credits, making that go more quickly. Now, it gave me this list of students on an extra sheet here that I don't actually need right now, so I'll just delete the sheet. It gives me a warning, which is good, but I actually do want that sheet to go away. I'm back to just having my data set here and my pivot table here. Now, I'd also like to see the graduation outcomes for students who have been enrolled in college for at least 6 years, and so that would be the 2010 and 2011 cohort. Now, as soon as I select that, you'll notice that the columns change because the PACE variables don't apply. It only shows data in the columns that contain data. So we've got the 4-year grads, students who graduated in 4 years or less, students who graduated during the 5th year, students who graduated during the 6th year, students who graduated during the 7th year or later than the 6th year, and then those students who did not graduate, they are still attending but have not graduated, and then non-persistent students who didn't return after their first semester, and non-retained students who did not return at some point after the first year. So these values give me some sense of the trend across the years and the cohorts. And in the next video, we'll take a look at how high school GPA relates to these outcomes.